we're going to build the perfect offensive tackle prospect. We're going to start off with what that looks like from an NFL player perspective, and then you're going to give us what that looks like from the guys in this draft class. So we break the position down into a bunch of different traits or categories or whatever that we're looking at. Offensive tackle, you've come up with just the 4 categories this time. So we've got play strength, mirroring, the ability to kind of stay opposite the defensive lineman trying to get past you, hand usage, and then the best on the move or out in space. So for the NFL, play strength has got to be Trent Williams. That dude is just an absolute freak show when it comes to being more powerful than the guy he's trying to block. Mirroring, I think we've got either David Bakhtiari, who has been probably the best guy at that over his NFL career, or Rashawn Slater, if we've decided that, David Bakhtiari's knee is a chronic problem that's probably going to take him out of that conversation going forward. Hand usage, I think Lane Johnson at right tackle for the Eagles is exceptional with his punch and how he uses his hands. And then best in the move right in space. Seems weird for a guy that's as freaking strong as he is, but Trent Williams on the move in space is an absolute nightmare. It's like getting hit by a Mack truck if you're a linebacker or a defensive back trying to stop him. So that, I think, is the NFL version of the perfect offensive tackle. What about the draft class, Mike?
Yeah, there's a reason why Trent Williams is a unicorn, right? Why he had the highest grade ever. It's because you don't see guys with that combination too often, and I don't see one in this class also. But play strength wise, this was probably the most hotly debated one, is play strength in this draft class, because there's a number of guys in this tackle class I think that are plus play strength, that are high level in that regard, whether it's Broderick Jones from Georgia, whether it's DeJuan Jones from Ohio State, and that is just, you're not going through that guy. But the one who I think takes the cake is Darnell Wright from Tennessee. Yeah, obviously, he's a little older than the other guys. He's a 4th year, 4 years starting at Tennessee. But you see him, and everyone brings up the game against Willie Anderson because you want to see a guy and how he fares against top competition. You see him in that game, and one of the few guys who could really sit down and drop anchor against Willie Anderson's bull rush. And that's, that's something you need to see. That's something that separates kind of the man from the boys in the tackle position, that a lot of NFL evaluators, if you don't have that ability to you, if you can't anchor against the bull rush, you legitimately just won't see the field in the NFL, because they'll bull rush you every single time then. The power, if you can't stand up to NFL power, you'll see it every single play, and you'll lose every single play because you have no recourse. So to me, Darnell Wright, you watch his tape, you watch his upper body strength, and it's just high-end NFL stuff. And so I think he takes the cake in that regard. All
right. Mirroring,
this one is Peter Skoronski, right? This is why, with his 32.25-inch T-Rex arms, that he's still considered PFF's OT1 in this draft class. I just think his ability to match and mirror speed is exactly what you want to block the Von Millers of the world in the NFL. And truthfully, from last year to this year, his play strength concerns shored up entirely. Went from sophomore to junior. So I'm not worried about that either. He is strong and able to mirror NFL caliber edge rushers, which is why I still feel like, even with those undersized arms, I think he's going to be a player in the NFL.
And you've got him as an option for hand usage as well. And those two things put together, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but those are the things you need if you're going to have those little stumpy T-Rex arms.
Yeah, he uses his hands probably as well or better than anyone, but they're 32.25 inches. There's only so much you can do with them. That's why I think DeJuan Jones also deserves some love for the hand usage, because maybe he's not as consistent snap to snap as a Peter Skoronski with them. But when they're 36 and 3/8 inches and you're as strong as DeJuan Jones is, all it takes is one well-placed mitt and he stops edge rushers before they start. So he's fantastic at kind of getting that initial contact, using that length. I think we talked about the combine, that like a lot of guys with arms, 35.5 inches or longer, those really long, obscenely long arms, they still know how to use them. And they're almost a detriment because they're late to punches a lot. They're too long. They just can't time it up. With DeJuan Jones, it is the opposite. He is technically very sound, and that hand usage is why I still feel like, even at his insane size with mediocre movement skills by tackle standards, I still think he's going to get the job done in the league.
Well, he's one of the few people who has arms that length and they're still in proportion to the rest of him. Like, all of him is that size.
That helps.
Whereas other guys that have freaky long arms, they're out of proportion to the rest of their body. Like they're big people, but they're not 36-inch arms big, and maybe that's part of the reason why they lose control.
That's actually a great point. I like that take.
What about the best in the move or best on the move or out in space?
I'm kind of cheating with this one because, again, this would be Peter Skoronski's. Like he is outside of the arm length. Like Skoronski can move, he can mirror, he can anchor. Like Skoronski is a damn good offensive line prospect, which is why you're seeing a lot of people just being like, yeah, he's going to be a top 10 pick. Maybe the NFL sees him as guard, but he's just going to be a top 10 pick because he's in that kind of realm of offensive line prospect. But the one I'm kind of cheating here because he's probably going to move to the interior, but he's so damn good out in space that he's got to give him some love. It's Cody Mauch, the North Dakota State offensive tackle. And again, he is not only, has the arm length concerns, but he has the play strength concerns if you're sticking him at tackle. I do think wholesale he's going to be a guard or center in the NFL. But my Lord, when you see him pull out to the edge, when you see him climb to the second level, he is a linebacker's worst nightmare, this guy, with his ability to just track you down. He's a former tight end, gained 80 pounds to play offensive tackle over the course of his 6 years at North Dakota State, and he still moves like one. So, yeah, Cody Mauch, that's a guy I want if I'm any sort of wide zone, any sort of wide run scheme heavy that's really getting our guys out in space, out in the move. Cody Mauch's going to be a terror in that kind of scheme.